Most men think women go crazy over flowers, compliments, or smooth lines. But here's the brutal truth. None of that makes you unforgettable. What truly burns into a woman's mind are the questions you ask her. The ones that slip past her defenses, crawl under her skin, and make her feel like you see something no other man has ever noticed. If you master this, you don't chase her. She chases you in her own mind, replaying your words at night when she should be asleep. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That's not just about hardship. It's also about desire. When a woman's imagination is captured, when her mind can't let go of what you said, her attraction multiplies beyond logic. Most men never touch this level, but you after this video will. So today, I'm going to give you 10 questions that, when asked at the right time, bypass her surface-level chatter and ignite something primal inside her. These aren't cheesy pickup lines. These are psychological triggers, forged from understanding human nature, sharpened by philosophy, and proven in real-world dynamics between men and women. Why is this important? Because every woman tests men. She wants to know if you're ordinary or unforgettable. And the fastest way to prove you're different is to frame reality with questions she's never heard before. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you ask the right question, you dye her thoughts with you. Have you ever noticed how some men barely say a word, but women can't stop thinking about them? It's not magic, it's strategy. And I'm about to hand you the playbook. Question 1. What's something you've never told anyone, but secretly wish someone would ask you about? Let me tell you why this hits like a thunderbolt. Every human being walks around carrying secrets. Little truths, big regrets, quiet dreams, and they're dying for permission to reveal them. Most men stay on the surface. What's your favorite color? Do you like movies? Useless, forgettable. But when you give her a chance to open that hidden door inside herself, you become the man who gave her freedom. Think about Tom, 48, divorced, starting to date younger women. At first, he thought he had to impress with achievements, money, travel stories, gym shape. But when he asked this exact question over dinner, something shifted. She leaned in. Her voice softened. She told him about a dream she'd buried since childhood. And from that night on, she couldn't stop texting him. Not because he was perfect, but because he unlocked a part of her no one else dared to touch. The psychology here is simple. When she reveals what's hidden, she binds it to you. You become the guardian of her secret, and human beings are wired to trust and desire those who hold our truth without judgment. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." A good man doesn't need to posture, boast, or flex. He asks the question that shows courage. He listens without flinching. And that, more than any line or gift, makes him unforgettable. So the takeaway? Stop asking what every man asks. Ask what no man dares. That's how you enter her mind and never leave. Question 2. When was the last time you felt truly alive? This question slices through the monotony of everyday life. Most women are trapped in routines. School, work, scrolling through endless screens. Men talk to them, but few ever awaken their soul. By asking this, you force her to revisit the fire within her, the moments when her heart raced, when her spirit felt limitless. And in her mind, you become tied to that sensation. Take Michael, 52. He was nervous about dating younger women, always worried they'd see him as boring or too old. Then, over coffee, he dropped this question. She paused. Her eyes flickered. She started talking about a spontaneous trip she took with friends years ago. Her smile widened, her whole body language shifted. And for the rest of the date, she looked at him differently. Not as an older guy, but as a man who could bring that thrill back into her life. Psychology explains this well. Attraction is rooted in state transfer. If she feels alive when she's with you, she associates you with that feeling. You don't just talk to her. You transform her emotional state. That's something her brain cannot forget. Epictetus once said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." When you ask her to recall the last time she felt alive, you're reframing her reality, taking her out of boredom into possibility. That's power. The mindset shift is clear. Don't try to impress her with how alive you are. Ask the question that makes her come alive in your presence. Question 3. What do you think most people misunderstand about you? This one is dangerous, in the best way. Every woman feels misunderstood. Maybe people think she's too pretty to be smart, or too quiet to be confident, or too ambitious to be feminine. Deep down, she craves a man who sees beyond the mask. When you ask this, you become that man. You don't just talk to her. You challenge her to reveal the side no one else has the courage to ask about. Let's look at David, 55. Twice divorced, he started dating again, and quickly realized that most conversations felt shallow. Then he asked this one question on a walk with a younger woman. She froze for a second.
Then, slowly, she confessed how exhausting it was to always be judged for her looks instead of her mind.
That one conversation cracked her open. Later, she told him, "You're the only man who ever made me feel really seen." From a psychological angle, this question bypasses performance and taps into vulnerability. Humans bond through shared truth, and when she exposes hers, she instantly feels closer to you. Not because you convinced her, but because you invited her to drop the mask. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." That's what this question does. It gives her space to admit the truth she hides. And in doing so, she bonds with the man who gave her that freedom. So here's the shift. Stop trying to prove you understand women. Instead, ask the question that lets them show you who they really are. Question 4. What's something you've never told anyone but feel comfortable telling me? This is not a casual question. This is a doorway into intimacy, the kind that can't be faked. Most men talk about themselves. They try to dominate the conversation, bragging about their career, their travels, their car. But true attraction doesn't come from what you show off. It comes from the depth you invite her into. This question signals strength, because only a man who is secure in himself can handle the truth of another person. Let me tell you about Richard, 49. He was used to younger women dismissing him as just another older guy. But on a late-night walk after dinner, he asked this exact question. She hesitated, laughed nervously, then admitted something vulnerable about her childhood. By the end of the night, she wasn't just attracted to him. She was attached, because now he wasn't a man she went on a date with. He was the man who held her secret. Psychology calls this the disclosure intimacy effect. When someone reveals something personal, the bond intensifies. And the more she reveals to you, the more invested she becomes in keeping you in her life. Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom here is knowing that attraction isn't built on compliments or charm. It's built on trust. The moment she trusts you with her unspoken truths, she'll never see you the same way again. The mindset shift. Don't be afraid of her darkness. If you can stand tall in the face of her truth, you become unforgettable. Question 5. What's the craziest thing you've ever dreamed of doing? This question is pure fire because it's playful and daring at the same time. It teases out her adventurous side, the part of her that longs for excitement but rarely gets to express it. Every woman wants to feel like her life could be bigger, bolder, wilder. And the man who coaxes that dream out of her becomes the man she associates with possibility. Take Paul, 47. He thought younger women only cared about partying and social media. But then, while sitting with a woman over drinks, he asked this question. She laughed, rolled her eyes, then confessed she always dreamed of skydiving but was too scared to try. Paul leaned in and said, "I'll do it with you." Right there, the energy shifted. She looked at him not as a cautious older man, but as a dangerous one, a man who could lead her into the unknown. From a psychological angle, this works because it ties you to her fantasies. You're no longer competing with other men. You've stepped into the realm of her imagination, and once you're in her imagination, you're in her desire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." When you ask her about her craziest dream, you're essentially asking her about the size of her soul, and that makes her see you as a man whose presence expands her world. The mindset shift. Don't just be the man who asks about her day. Be the man who pulls her into her future. Question 6. Who inspires you the most and why? This isn't small talk. It's a mirror into her values. When a woman answers this, she's telling you what qualities she secretly longs for in herself and in the man she chooses. Ask most guys what they talk about on dates, and you'll hear the same. Work, food, travel, music. Forgettable. But when you ask who inspires her, you ignite her imagination and align yourself with the very archetype of the men she admires. Take James, 51. He was out with a woman nearly half his age, and he dropped this question between sips of wine. She lit up. She spoke about her grandmother, about the strength and sacrifice she witnessed growing up. For the next 20 minutes, she spoke with passion, with fire. James didn't interrupt. He just listened. And in her mind, he became linked to that inspiration. Not because he bragged, but because he asked. Psychology calls this value projection. We naturally project the qualities we admire onto the people who invite us to reveal them. By listening to her speak about her inspirations, you become an extension of them in her subconscious. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When she sees you're a man who doesn't need to dominate the conversation but draws greatness out of her, she sees you as abundant, powerful, in control of yourself. The mindset shift. Don't show her your resume. Show her your curiosity. She'll hand you her admiration on a silver platter. Question 7. If you could relive one moment in your life, what would it be? This question isn't about nostalgia. It's about opening a hidden door to her most emotional memory. Maybe it's a moment of joy, maybe pain, maybe victory. Whatever it is, you're inviting her into a story that shaped her. And once she shares that story with you, she'll never forget you. Because now, you're tied to the deepest layers of her identity. Think of Alan, 56. He thought he had nothing in common with younger women, but on a casual walk after dinner, he asked this. She paused. Her eyes softened, and she told him about the last time she saw her father before he passed away. That conversation lasted 2 hours. By the end, she hugged him differently, not as a date, but as a man who had touched her heart. Psychologically, this is about emotional imprinting. The stronger the emotion she feels when speaking to you, the stronger the bond she unconsciously creates with you. Men who avoid depth never get beyond the surface. Men who dare to ask, they become unforgettable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you guide her into her most vivid memories, you allow her soul to dye itself in your presence. That's what makes you magnetic. The mindset shift. Don't fear her emotions. Lead her into them. That's how you move from just another guy to the man who lingers in her soul. Question 8. What do you value most in a man? This question is bold, because most men are afraid to ask it. They'd rather play games, dropping hints, fishing for approval. But when you put this on the table, you force clarity. You make her articulate her deepest standard. And in doing so, you set yourself apart from every man who's too timid to go there. Let's look at Patrick, 54. He was having coffee with a younger woman who had endless options chasing her. Instead of complimenting her beauty for the 100th time like every other man, he leaned in and asked this. Her whole demeanor changed. She stopped scrolling her phone. She thought about it. And then she said, "A man who keeps his word." Patrick just nodded and said, "Good, that's rare." Instantly, she looked at him differently. Because in that moment, she felt like he already was that man. From a psychological standpoint, this works because it's a frame shift. Instead of you auditioning for her, she's now auditioning her values in front of you. It puts you in the position of the chooser. Calm, unshaken, masculine. Seneca once wrote, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." By asking her what she values, you're revealing not just her compass, but also showing that you already have one of your own. The mindset shift. Don't fear her standards. Lead her into them. That's how she begins to measure every man she meets against you. Question nice. What scares you the most about love? This question cuts through attraction like a blade. Women are constantly hiding behind smiles, filters, and walls. They crave love, but they fear it at the same time. And most men never dare to touch that tension. But when you do, you become unforgettable, because you speak to the part of her most men ignore. Take Stephen, 50. He asked this during a quiet dinner. She laughed nervously at first, then admitted she was terrified of losing herself in a relationship, of giving too much and getting nothing back. For the next hour, she revealed wounds she had never spoken about. And by the end, she wasn't just interested in Stephen. She was invested, because he had touched the scar tissue of her heart. Psychology explains this as fear-based bonding. When someone shares their fears, they subconsciously attach themselves to the person who received them without judgment. That's why trauma often forges unbreakable bonds. But here, you're creating that bond consciously. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. By asking her what scares her, you're guiding her back into her own power, and she will forever associate that strength with you. The mindset shift. Don't just flirt with her beauty. Dare to touch her fear. That's where real attraction lives. Question 10. What kind of story do you want your life to tell? This is the question that separates boys from men. It doesn't just flirt. It doesn't just entertain. It pierces her soul. Every woman, whether she admits it or not, is longing for her life to be part of a story worth remembering. And when you ask this, you instantly set yourself apart from every man who only cares about the shallow surface. Picture Anthony, 57. He was on his third date with a younger woman who had been casually seeing other guys. But when he asked this, she stopped. She looked at him in silence for a moment, then said softly, "I want to be remembered as someone who lived bravely." For the rest of the night, Anthony didn't even need to push. Her attraction to him deepened, because he wasn't just a date anymore. He was the man who asked her about her story. And every woman wants to be written into a story bigger than herself. Psychologically, this works because humans are narrative creatures. We don't just live. We live inside stories. And the man who dares to ask her about her story becomes the man who can shape it. That's why she thinks about you long after the date ends. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." When you ask her about her story, you're showing that you're not just another chapter in her life. You're a man writing his own legacy, inviting her into it. The mindset shift. Don't chase her attention. Challenge her destiny. That's what makes you unforgettable. Brother, here's the truth. Attraction isn't built on looks, money, or charm. It's built on presence, on the courage to ask questions that most men never dare to ask. These 10 questions aren't tricks. They're invitations. Invitations for her to reveal her soul, her fears, her dreams. And when she does, she bonds herself to the man who gave her that space. That man is you. Remember what Seneca said. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. Women aren't drawn to men who bend themselves to please. They're drawn to men who stand tall, ask boldly, and hold steady in the truth. So the next time you're with her, don't waste words. Don't dance around the shallow. Ask her the questions that make her feel alive. Because once you enter her mind this way, brother, you'll never leave it. If you're ready to stop chasing and start leading, if you're ready to be the man who doesn't just attract women, but leaves them addicted to your presence, then this is your moment. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am the story she'll never forget." That way I know you're part of this brotherhood of men who are done playing games and are ready to embody true masculine power. And if you found value here, hit that subscribe button, because every week we're diving deeper into the psychology of attraction, the wisdom of the Stoics, and the timeless principles that make a man unforgettable. Remember, brother, it's not about chasing her. It's about becoming the kind of man she never dares to forget.